Hi, I'm Tim and you're watching video number 101 on my YouTube channel, and in this video we're continuing on with the second part in our Grandstream GCC series. And if you can see behind me, I've got some equipment partly set up, and what we're going to do is finish connecting the devices up, and then I'll take you into the GCC management interface, and what we'll do is get internet access set up and also basic Wi-Fi access as well for a Wi-Fi 5 telephone that you can see here, and that's also a Grandstream one. Just to recap, it's the model WP816, and we have our all-in-one device, which is a great package in a small little box. As I keep saying, it's the GCC6010 series, and it's a IP PBX router, firewall and switch all in one little tiny package. So we'll take a closer look now. So I'll reposition the camera, we'll take a closer look, and I'll show you me connecting the basic devices up so that we can get access to it. So I'll do that now. So here we are with the GCC6010 model, and on the front, just to recap quickly, we've got 5 1 gigabit ports, and port 1 is at the left and port 5 is at the right hand side. Now 4 of these ports are PoE out, so they supply PoE out up to a maximum of 30 watts. Port 1, 2, 3 and 4 are the PoE out ports. So what I'm going to do first is connect our wireless access point. Now this is a Grandstream model Wi-Fi 6E access point. This is the one that Grandstream previously sent to me for review and testing and doing some videos on. So this is a Wi-Fi 6E access point, and it's a model GWN7665. So we're using this access point so that we can set up our Wi-Fi 4 and Wi-Fi 5 voice over IP telephone. So what we're doing first is connecting the cable. So it's a Cat6 cable from the wireless access point into port number 1 of the GCC. So that will supply power out to the access point, so PoE power. Then what we're going to do is connect our WAN connection. Now, as I'm using a 2.5 gigabit ONT from my internet service provider. Now the ONT was installed by a company called City Fibre here in the UK, and the internet service provider I'm using is called Yayzi, Y-A-Y-Z-I, and they are also based in the UK, and they are supplying me with a 1.2 gigabit down and a 1 gigabit up connection. So in order to connect it to the ONT, which has a 2.5 gigabit Ethernet port on it, I'm using one of the 2.5 gigabit SFP ports on this GCC. And if you can see on this GCC, hopefully, port number 5 has a little up arrow facing at the top of the actual port. So there's a little up arrow symbol there, and also that's the same for port number 7, which is an SFP port, and it's the 2.5 gigabit, of course, which I've said, and that also has an up arrow. Now these two ports with the up arrow mean that they are factory default set as WAN ports from the factory. So those two with the arrows are set by the factory as default WAN ports. However, these can be changed in the GCC management interface, which we could do if necessary, but we'll go into that detail in a future video. So what I'm doing is putting an SFP module into port number 7 for our WAN connection. And for information, this is a 10 GTEC SFP module, and it supports up to 10 gigabit. And for your information, it's a model ASF10G-T. So what we'll do is put the SFP module in port number 7 for our WAN connection. So I'll take the rubber cover off. We'll insert the SFP module, and that goes face down, so the copper circuit board there where it connects goes face down into the SFP module, and we'll just open the front down cover, so we'll pull that gold cover down and it should just lock into place, and we'll put the clip back on the cover, and then we have our WAN connection. So what I'm doing now with this white cable, which is connected into the cabinet below this, and it's coming out from my city fibre connection, so I'm just connecting the Cat6 cable into the port 7, so that's our WAN connection connected up. And then what I'm doing with this red cable here is connecting that into port number 4, which is connected to my PC. So this red cable is connected to my PC so that we can log into the management interface on the GCC. So just to recap, we have port 1, which goes to this access point, port 4, which goes to my PC, which is the red cable, and thirdly, this is the WAN connection, goes into the SFP module into port 7. So that goes into the City Fibre WAN connection. So now that we've connected those 3 devices, that's basic, I know, but there are 3 other ports free for the switch, so you could actually connect other devices if you wish, printer, NAS and so on. So this device is not only ideal for home users, lab users, but also for small businesses, commerce and enterprise. It will cope with all that. So what we'll do is, as you can see, bring the phone forward a little bit, you can see there's a green light on it. That's actually been on charge, so it's in the docking station. So what I'm doing now is just putting the power plug in the back of the GCC to power the device up. And as you can see, we've got some flashing lights on there. So they all lit up on the ports, and we've got a green light on the GCC device itself. So we've got a green flashing light on the red cable, which is the PC, an orange light flashing on the access point cable, and as you can see, the access point is lighting up with green LEDs. So it's got 3 green LEDs on it, so that means it's starting up. And the port 7 doesn't have any lights on it at the moment, but once we get that connected in the management interface, I'm sure that the lights will appear on the SFP. Now, with regard to password and usernames, you'll find on the bottom of the device there's the default username and password for each device, and it's unique to each device, so it's on the bottom of the label. And the same with the wireless access point as well. That also has the default information shown on the bottom of the access point there on the label. Now, the default IP address for this GCC from the factory is 192.168.80.1. So that is the default IP address to log into the management interface. So to recap, it's 192.168.80.1, and that's the default IP address for all GCC series. So what we'll do now is go to the PC and we'll see if we can log into the interface and get our wireless access point up and running, and also WAN connection up and running as well. So here we are at my web interface on my PC, which we connected to one of the ports on the GCC. As you'll see, there's a picture of one here. This is the GCC6010. This is the GCC6011. So this is the one with extra RJ45 switch ports on it. So you can see it's got 8 switch ports there, plus 9th, which is an SFP one, and then it also has 3 WAN connection ports there. And for this one at the side, this one has built-in Wi-Fi in it, so it has Wi-Fi 6, and this is the GCC6010W model, so the W meaning it has Wi-Fi built into it. So anyway, moving on. So what we're going to do is first sign in to the GCC6010. So in our username box, what I'm doing is typing in the default username actually is the same for all GCC models, and it's the default username of admin, and then the password, which I said is unique to every model. So the password for mine is, and then what we do is click sign in, and here you can see we've got a reset password screen. So now it's asking you to do a factory reset on the password, so to change it from the factory default one to your own. So at the moment we'll just click on temporarily do not modify. However, when you're using yours for your own setup and not a lab setup, make sure that you change the password and make it as secure as possible. So in this case, just for our lab environment, we're clicking temporarily do not modify, and here we are. It's taken us straight to our GCC6010 overview screen, and we have the GCC and 6010, and then we have next to it networking, firewall, network nodes, PBX and UC endpoints. So the UC endpoints, of course, you can probably see from the screen, are the voice over IP telephones. The PBX is actually built into this device, and network nodes, that will be other Grandstream network devices and probably other devices as well, so not necessarily Grandstream branded ones. The firewall is built into this, so it's an enterprise grade firewall, and of course networking. So what we can do is click on these icons and it will take us straight into those sections of the management interface. And underneath this we have basic information, so we have the device name, hardware version, firmware version, MAC address, LAN IP address, and then under system performance we have CPU load, which is low, storage performance excellent, memory usage, disk usage, USB disk, so you could actually connect a USB disk to it, so on the front USB port. And also for the micro SD card, there's no micro SD card in the slot at the back, so hence why it's saying not connected for both of those two devices actually. So what we'll do is click on topology, which is the second icon down in the menu, and as you can see all we've got is the GCC6010 because we haven't actually set up any devices there, but of course once you add devices it will be populated and it will provide a graph there of all the devices and how they're connected to each other. So we'll go down to system settings, and as you can see a drop down menu has appeared, so we've got basic settings, security, schedule, user management, email settings, SMS settings, PBX upgrades, and then for maintenance we'll click on that, and as you can see we've got upgrade, backup and restore and factory reset. Then below that we've got notification center. So here it provides a comprehensive log of notifications. So as you can see we've got host reboot normally, and we've got two of those, so that's when it was booting up for when we powered the device on, just when I showed you me connecting the devices up. So what we'll do is go back to the overview screen, and then what we'll do is click on networking, and hopefully we should be able to get the WAN connection activated. So we'll click networking, and here it's taken us into the networking overview screen. Now at the top here you'll also see there's 4 symbols. So the first one is for the home, which takes us into this overview screen. The second one is for networking. The third one is for firewall. Now this, as I said, has a very comprehensive firewall built into it. There's so many policies, security defenses, anti-malware, intrusion prevention, SSL proxy, so it's SSL inspection, content control, so you can filter it by content, applications and so on. And then moving in to the top we'll carry on and go to network nodes. So this takes us into the network devices. So here we've got access point management, Wi-Fi management, switch management, clients, captive portable and so on. So what we'll do is go back to the overview screen, click on networking again. It's taking us into the networking screen. So what we'll do is click plus here, and I believe, yep, it shows us a enlarged image of our GCC and what the lights are doing on it at the moment. So as you can see, we've got flashing lights for the green, so port 1, look, as you can see the light is flashing, and the yellow one means it's supplying PoE to that access point, so it's the access point we plugged into 1. Port 4 was for this PC, so that's, you can see it's blinking, and then for the SFP port, port 7, it's showing as empty at the moment, but we'll just go ahead and see if we can set up the WAN connection. So what we'll do is click on the globe icon here, and then for the WAN we've got port 7, so it's actually selected it by default, and as you can see underneath we've got the WAN 1 basic information. We'll just click on the square with the pen in it there next to WAN 1, and here this takes us into the WAN setup screen. So what we'll do for WAN name, we'll call it City Fibre, which is the fibre optic internet provider which I'm using, and my internet service provider, which is using the City Fibre network, is called Yazy. So we'll type City Fibre Yazy. Port is SFP port 7, so we're using the SFP port as I showed you earlier in the video. Connection type is by DHCP. For static DNS, I'm using different DNS servers, so we'll enable that, and in preferred DNS I'll use the open DNS servers, which are 208.67.222.222, and the alternative one is 208.67.220.220. Both of these are open DNS servers. For the tracking IP address, we could leave that as 8.8.8.8, which is Google's DNS server. My internet service provider uses a VLAN tag, so we'll enable this option, and what I'm going to do is enter the VLAN tag ID, which is VLAN 911. Multiple public IP addresses, this is disabled. However, if you're provided with static IP addresses and multiple static IP addresses, you would enable that option and then enter your IP addresses there. So if you have more than one, you just click add IP address, so you click the plus symbol and add each one as you want. For VPN, we're not using a VPN connection, so we'll leave that disabled. IPv6 they don't use, so that's disabled, and it's disabled by default. So what we'll do is just click save, and then it's taken us into the list of WAN connections. So hopefully shortly we should get a connection to my internet service provider. Now, as you can see, my City Fibre internet connection has now connected, and we've got IPv4 status here as connected, and we've got an IPv4 address. So that means that we now should have internet access for this PC. So what I'll do is just open up a new tab and temporarily go to Google, www.google, actually we'll go to Grandstream, grandstream.com, so www.grandstream.com, and here you can see we've got the Grandstream website loaded. Get back to the networking page, so here we are. So what we'll do is select LAN, and as you can see we're in the default VLAN, which is VLAN ID 1, and the IP address for this device is listed there. So here you can obviously set up VLANs for PBXs, port settings, so you can set each port to different VLANs, static IP bindings, local DNS records, and Bonjour gateway. Also you can select IGMP, so that's disabled by default, and multicast group, network acceleration, and that's set by default to hardware acceleration. So now that we've got the internet connection set up, what we'll do is go into the networking application and we'll get our wireless access point set up as well. So what we'll do is click in to network nodes, so it's the top icon, so it's the fourth one from the left hand side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and here we have the overview, so it's providing traffic and details, so it's top clients, top SSIDs and so on. So that will obviously populate itself more as you use the devices. So what we'll do is go into AP management, and as you can see from pair AP, we've now got our access point listed in the list of access points on our system. So what we'll do is click on the tick, so we'll put a tick in it and click save. Now what this has done is paired the access point into our GCC6010 so that it can be managed all together in the same ecosystem, as it were, rather than having to manage the access point in its own interface. This can be managed in our GCC web interface. So what we'll do is go ahead and set up our SSID and wireless network devices. But before that, what we'll do is go back to our home section. So it's the first one at the left hand side top here, and we'll go into system settings, basic settings, and change our country and region and time zone and so on. So we'll change this to United Kingdom. Time zone is UTC 0 for London, and here we are. So the NTP server, I like to use 0.uk.pool.ntp.org as my NTP server here in the UK. Language is English, of course. What we'll do is click save. Save successfully at the top, so that's good. So now that we've entered system settings for our country and region and time zone and etc., what we'll do is go back and finish adding our access point. So to do this, we'll click network nodes at the top, select AP management. Then for the access point that we're managing, obviously we've only got one at the moment, you'll click on the edit button under operations. So it's the little square with the pen in it. This takes you into the configuration settings. So what we'll do, the device name, we'll leave that as it is. For the LED indicator, we'll always leave that on. For 2.4 gigahertz, what we'll do is change the channel width to 20 megahertz. The channel, will change that to, for example, channel 8. Radio power, we'll leave that as the radio settings, and all the other options there for 2.4, we'll leave those as use radio settings. So for channel 5 gigahertz band, we will select the channel width of 40, for example. Select the channel, so we'll use channel 104, and the rest of those will use radio settings. So we'll click save, and we'll create some SSIDs. However, to do this, what you need to do is click on the left hand side under Wi-Fi management and select SSIDs. Then what you do is click the add button, enable the Wi-Fi option, so it enables this SSID, and in the name you would give your SSID a name. So in this case we'll call it MTT Lab. So Mr. Timtech Lab, and the SSID band, we'll leave that as dual band. Access security, we'll leave that as WP8 WP8 key mode, we'll leave that as PSK. WP8 encryption, we'll leave that as AES. So all we do is enter a pre-shared key. So we'll enter a shared key to access this SSID. So we'll give it a really secure one. This is just for our lab, so it's just for testing purposes, but make sure your shared key is quite secure, please. And then what we'll do is click on advanced and just check these options. So we could actually hide the SSID name so that the name is not broadcast, but we want to broadcast it at the moment, so we'll leave that as default and disabled. And all the other options we'll leave as default. So device management, we can apply the SSID to different access points. However, we just have one, so we're just enabling it and applying it to the GWN7665. So what we'll do is click save, and here we have our SSID set up. and called MTT Lab. So now we've got our WAN connection working, and we've also got our wireless access point with the wireless access network working. So in the next video, what we'll do is go ahead and set up a voice over IP provider, and then we should be able to get our WP816 Wi-Fi cordless telephone connected to our voice over IP provider, and also get it connected to our GCC wireless access point. So we'll do that in the next video so that it doesn't make this video far too long. So I hope you like this video. Hope you found it useful. And by the way, you're probably wondering on the costs of these equipment. So what I'll do is in the description for this video, I'll put a guide so that you know how much these devices cost roughly. I'll put the prices in US dollars. Stay tuned for the next video when we set up our voice over IP provider, and we'll hopefully get the cordless telephone connected to our voice over IP provider in that same video as well, providing it's not too long again. But stay tuned for the next episode. Hope you liked this video. Hope you found it useful. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.